when I click that live button. Let's see here. All right. Are we live? Are we live? All right, we're going live everywhere. Going live everywhere today. I want to impact the message as many people as we can at once. Let's see here. All right, rock and roll. Those of you on the replay, welcome. I'm always talking to you first because you're the only ones on here at the very, very beginning. So I hope you all had a fantastic weekend. We're on here on live on the old Instagram as well today. So Instagrammers, welcome. I'm over here on Facebook as well. So we're trying some different things out. Let me know that you're alive and kicking, and I hope you had a fantastic weekend. Got to get out on my bike, got to be with family. And so there's a quote that I have here today. For your weekly morning mind tune-up from the Mind Mechanic. I like to share these perspectives and these different thoughts so that... Awesome. I'd love to start my own video production and film company. Yeah, leave me your questions, your thoughts, because I'll get my thought out here, and then I'll be taking some of those to kind of give some thoughts and perspectives on. So, for me, it's the inner work that changes our outer world. And this quote here, most may or may not recognize the distinction here. So a lot through our lives, I've even said this before, I'll believe it when I see it. And I heard Wayne Dyer say this past weekend, always fueling the mind. I heard him say, I will see it when I believe it. Subtle distinction today. Subtle distinction. I'll believe it when I see it, right? So if I see it, then I'll believe. Rather than the alternative, which is you'll see it when you believe. Did you see that? What's up, my man? Danny's on Facebook. So let me know if that makes sense, that subtle distinction, because here's the thing that I find is that if there's something that we want to take action on, if there's a dream we have, too many times there's this, I'll believe it when I see it, rather than I'll see it when I believe, right? If I believe first, I have the opportunity to then make that happen. But what I've found in my own life and those that I coach is that if we do not believe that something is possible, if we need to see the thing first, then we'll believe. That the reality of that is that most times we won't take much action. Because if we really don't believe it's possible for us, then why try? Why do it, right? We have to have something external happen, friends, family, this, that. It has to happen, then I'll believe it. Rather than to believe that it's possible. Those of you who are religious or believe in God, whatever your beliefs are, there's a lot of things that, outside when the, pollution is high, when the pollen is high, when the air quality is bad, then what happens is there's a lot that we cannot see, yet it is affecting our breathing, it is affecting our health. There was a lady that I followed who was did radiation in the hospital, and she was a technician, and she shared this hand that back in the day before they knew that radiation caused problems, they kept putting the hand on, make sure that the machine's working to get the x-ray, right? And what happened was it fried the hand. It caused so many issues. And so there is so much that is invisible that we just have to have faith. So let me know that you are hearing me. I want to make sure I'm on Instagram right now. I'm being told that it can't be heard, so I'm not sure. I'm not going to deal with that at the moment. I'll have to check that in later. But let me know on Facebook that you can hear me. Leave me a comment on Facebook to let me know that you can hear me. And if you're enjoying this, give some likes and love. Good old algorithm loves that. But I just wanted to get on here to share that subtle distinction because it has been these subtle distinctions that have made a profound difference in my life and in those that I coach, because these subtleties, imagine, all right, Erica, thank you so much. So I had a guy last weekend that was saying that he was potentially wanting to quit his job. Or sometimes you maybe want to quit a relationship, or you may be wanting to quit a business. If you're really at that stage that you'd rather just go work at McDonald's, or you'd rather quit your job or quit the relationship, then what I find is there's something subtle here. And I did a post on my Facebook page with awesome. You guys appreciate James and Erica. That I said I'm going to do some more posts because, thank you, plan to go to outer space one day. That there was something that I wrote in a notebook back in 2014 in regards to the man I wanted to be in a relationship, or in the relationship that was at that point in time, girlfriend. So this can apply to business, this can apply to relationships, this can apply to a lot of things when you're on that verge of giving up. My thing about this, I'll believe it when I see it, meaning you need to see it before you'll believe, rather than see after you believe, right? If you believe first, that thing will in some way, shape, or form potentially take form. It will happen, because if we're coming from a place of I believe, I have faith, I have trust, then we start to take actions towards that. And on the other flip side of that I'm going to give up, this is probably never going to work. Well, then if you already have that belief, then that thing you were afraid to try, that thing you were afraid to do, what's the harm in giving it your all, or doing it the way that you would prefer to do it anyways? I had a guy last week, he was saying he had this job, he hated the job, but there was a little bit he liked, and he liked the guy, and he liked some of the company, but the work, the activities that he had to do, he didn't like. There was elements of it. And so he said, I almost feel like just going to work at McDonald's. And I said, well, if that's the case, then the worst case scenario is that you're going to go work at McDonald's. You've already somewhat got that planned out. So now, why don't we flip this around, and what you wish that the scenario that you're in could be, what do you have to lose to have the conversation, to say what you'd really like? Right? What do you have to lose? I've done this in my business. I've done this in relationships. I've done this many times now in my life, where now I can identify that this thing that, in that relationship, I'll believe it when I see it. Oh, if she changes. Oh, if this happens, I'll believe it after I see that. That'll never happen. Right? If that's how you're coming, then the reality is you probably will never see it. Right? And you'll also never believe it. Right? This kind of paradigm that you're stuck in, that you need to see things before you believe. Oh, I wish that could happen. Well, I'll just quit that and go do this. But yet I've seen lives completely transform when we just give it our all. See, we make a choice every single day. Today you have a choice. Tomorrow you have a choice. Every moment of every day you have a choice. The question is, what choices are you making? Right? What choices are you making? Sometimes those choices are very empowering, and sometimes those choices are very disempowering. So do you feel like that's a trapping mentality? Right. But a lot of us out there, I think at one point in time, we can all relate that we felt trapped. Now, some feel trapped right now. And so my goal, it's kind of this mind mechanic with these mind tune-ups, is to tweak the mind in such a subtle way that you have a huge shift in your life, right? We're wanting to make these huge shifts so we have huge shifts, but at times that seems impossible. If it seems impossible, then it seems improbable. If it seems improbable, we do nothing about it, because the likelihood seems that it's nothing, that there's no reason to do it. It'll never change. But see, the choice isn't to change someone else. The choice is to change ourselves. And so in business and in life and in relationships, when we make the choice to make the shift, then our world changes. The relationships change. The people change. The business changes. The job changes, right? So let me know in the comments if you can relate. You can leave me the word relate. Let me know in the comments essentially what's going on in your mind right now. I would love to hear from you, because I love these things to be interactive as much as possible. This is I've done these things off and on, and to find the actual shift for me to look at the way to do these, let's say, lives. Just to give you an example right now. So there's so many things I've been fed through the years that I ate, probably against my will, but I made the choice to eat it, right? We make the choice to eat our food. Typically, nobody forces us to eat. And so for me, what I've found is that we hear things from friends, family, society, myself. But the thing is, I'm not trying to feed you any specific thing to force a specific thing down there. After 6-7 years of studying human behavior, personality, the brain, I've found that no one ultimately can force us to feel or do anything. We make those choices to have something happen and then to feel bad about it, to have it affect us in a negative way. And so what I found is through the years, I was choosing to eat food that maybe didn't really quite taste well. And what I mean by that is I would listen to people who I thought knew better than me. They maybe had more money. They had fancier things. They had a bigger business, right? And we look at these things and we think, well, they know, right? They know best. So in my mind, the market has crashed and companies are struggling. So why try? Right? So that is your current reality, and it is part of the world that's happening, right? So in my mind, the market has crashed. What market? Are you talking about the housing market, the school market, the video production market, the design market? What market has crashed and companies are struggling? See, because what I've seen, we'll just end the old Insta over here. So because what I have seen is that, yes, there were people thriving, surviving, struggling, dying, now, during, before, after COVID, right? This isn't a COVID thing, right? Business struggling isn't a COVID thing. People being sick isn't a COVID thing, right? People being happy isn't a COVID thing, right? The reality is before all this happened, there were people who were anxious, they were stressed, they were depressed, they were unhappy. During this, there are people stressed, depressed, unhappy. After, whatever after is, whatever during is, there will be people depressed, struggling, and anxious, right? It's not a byproduct of what is happening in the world. It is a byproduct of how we choose to experience the world. And so, are there companies struggling? Absolutely. But were there companies struggling before this? Were there companies that went out of business that were like, thank God, because they were struggling for 20 years and this put it over the edge? For myself and some others, it put me over the edge for my retirement to happen for video production, because I held on so tightly for so long to my video production company. But yet this work right here was something that I've always done off and on. But I used to think, oh, well, I need to do lives every Monday and Wednesday and Friday at 9 a.m. at a specific time and date and here and there. And yet we can look at somebody, like him or hate him. Sometimes I like to use examples that are not from a byproduct of whether or not you like the person, but just taking things out of it. So take Joe Rogan, for example. Take Tim Ferriss, for example. Joe Rogan just got a $100 million buyout from Spotify. And yet Joe Rogan had no consistent schedule Monday through Friday, Monday through Sunday, of when he would release the Joe Rogan show. He would sometimes do 3 Joe Rogan shows in one day, all streamed live when they happened. Sometimes he would do 1 in a day. Sometimes he wouldn't do any in a day. Sometimes he wouldn't do any for 3 days. But on average, consistently, and from a committed standpoint, he did it every week. Week in, week out, week in, week out, week in, week out, with the exception of a few weeks here and there, week in, week out, for over a decade. He showed up week in, week out, week in, week out. Inconsistently consistent. And I think that's another powerful distinction. Inconsistently consistent. Now, some people are consistently consistent, meaning they show up every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. They show up every Wednesday. They show up Monday through Friday at a specific time. My wife, more or less on her Instagram, shows up every single day, 7 days a week, sometimes multiple times a day, but at least once every day. For me, the amount of locked in things right now in my life feels constricting still. Now, I like some, There's certain things I do that. But I love doing this. But right now, saying everybody, hey, everybody, I'm going to show up at 9 a.m. on the dot, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, every week, consistently, makes me feel a little uneasy. So what shifts can you make that can remove the uneasiness? What examples in this world can you find that have had humongous, big success and yet did it a little different, did it their way, figured out what worked for them? And so for me, right now, what feels really right is doing this. What feels really right is doing this most days of the week. What feels really right is somewhere between 9 and noon doing this. Maybe sometimes it's on the afternoon. But we live in a world that, to a degree, there's so much that we catch on the replay. We catch on DVR. We catch on the recording. We catch, right? And so for me, that locking in a specific time doesn't work for me. But what works for me is being inconsistently consistent. See, for me in the last couple weeks, I've showed up most days at similar times, but I've showed up. And now I'm getting more messages and interactions and things happening, right? More engagement. There's a trust factor, even being inconsistent, but being consistent. So if you're the person who is being told that you need to get up at 5 a.m. and no matter what you do, you resist it, it doesn't work, you don't enjoy it, you're frustrated, you're irritated, but yet you find that at 9 o'clock at night, you're the most productive. But that can't be right. No. It's got to be the morning. Where are we at, everybody? Love being on here. Hope you all are doing well. If you're enjoying this, give some likes and love and check something out here real quick. Let me know that you're alive and kicking on there. Let me know if it's relating. Just put the word relate. And if you're enjoying this and you want more of my story, you can go on to takemia.com. Takemia.com's got my audiobook, free to download. Give you a little fire in your belly. And if you want to go to the mindmechanic.net, you can find out more about how I coach, how I work. I always say, when I hear you, I can help you. So for this is my kind of preacher sessions, the weekly mind tune-ups, meant to be, after a decade of practicing this kind of work, being able to get on here and do a live and just free flow with nothing more than a title and let things ebb and flow. I really do love this, and I know that my words and my way bring resonance to people that maybe someone else doesn't. Through my life experience, through the things that I've done, through the things that I've accomplished, I can bring a different angle to things that maybe you've heard before, but you're hearing it in a different way. But my main work on a day-to-day basis, the work I do professionally now is one-on-one. And the line I say is, when I hear you, I can help you. I find that there's plenty of things out here like this. This is something I've gotten really good at and that I love to do. And I believe in my heart that it provides massive value to people. And so since I've practiced this, since it's easy to do and I love to do it, then I'll be inconsistently consistent and get on here and do this for 20 to 30 minutes most days of the week. It's something that I'm committing myself to be inconsistently consistent, inconsistently committed to doing this on a weekly basis. But my main commitment is to the people that I hear. Because when I hear, I can help, because there's things that just come through me, and there's things that I pick up on that it's difficult to explain. But it happens again and again and again and again and again with people, that when I hear something, I hear what they can't hear or what they can't see. And I'm able to shine a light and give awareness, because that's our biggest thing. We don't know where our blind spots are. If we don't know where our blind spots are, it's difficult to fix the things that are causing us issues, right? And to tweak the things so that we can be more in flow with life, so that we can have more momentum in life, so we're not paralyzed by life, right? So we're not having, in my mind, the market has crashed, versus if I dug more into that person's situation, we could find that there's more going on there. We can shift the perspective, and with that shift in perspective, now they're not feeling so crippled and so paralyzed by this idea that they can't do anything. Because if the whole world is crashed and struggling, then why try? When the reality is, there's always been struggling companies. There's always been crashing. There might be more that has happened than ever before at one time, but there are still people thriving. I've seen here within blocks of where I live, I have seen companies who literally within blocks of each other, some have gone out of business and some are thriving, and both are restaurants. One that I can think of right now was closed for months. Now, I don't know the exact specifics, but I know another one that was able to pivot, came up with a sandwich called the COVID, and they sold more than they had ever sold before. A coffee shop is doing better than it's ever done before, and they have a drive-through now when they didn't before, that they made makeshift on the street, right? Something they may have not done before had this bad thing not happened. You know, my wife had food poisoning back in 2017, and it brought us closer than anything almost in our life because some things happened in the hospital and, you know, it was not a pretty sight, but it brought us really close. And so I've found that in these perspective shifts, we can make choices to see things through a lens of, you know, limitation, through a lens of negativity, through a lens of pessimism, or we can shift our perspective. Now, why is it crazy if we say, well, everything's horrible. You got false positivity. Well, the reality is, again, maybe false positives in certain things are not good. But for me, I choose to know that the way I show up and the lens at which I see the life is how my world is. So if I see everything as gloom and doom and negative and nothing's working, then that statement would be right. Why try? But too many people give up on this planet because they think that no one cares. No one loves them. No one this. There's nothing working. Why do this? But there's always a why that we can find. Now, I'm not sitting here and not having any empathy for those that did get hit hard. Hell yeah. People got hit really hard. And some people were in industries that there was not much they could do in the moment. And maybe for many moments, there's not a lot that can be done. But we can sit back and say, well, tough you know what? I guess I'm screwed. And that's what I saw some restaurants here do locally. Guess I'm screwed. And some said that I'm going to innovate. I'm going to tweak. And maybe that's not you right now. Maybe you're not an innovator, right? Maybe you're not a person who's creative in those ways. That's okay. It's good to know. It's good to know. It shined a big light that maybe you're not innovative. Maybe. Maybe not. So, again, if you're enjoying this, give some likes and love. Appreciate it. I got the comments open in multiple places. Who's on here? Shane. Best later in the day, evening, night. Great. So Shane says, I work best in the evening, later in the night. So if that is, then don't fight that until it doesn't work anymore. See, sometimes my goal is if something's working, I mean, there's always tweaks that can be made, but if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I really agree with in a lot of ways. And so for all of those of you popping on, the title of this is I See It When I Believe It. Heard this from Wayne Dyer, rather than I'll believe it when I see it. Meaning you need to see it happen. You need to see your girlfriend, boyfriend, husband, wife, business. You need to see those things change, and then you'll believe. Rather than if you believe, then things will change, and then you'll see it. Really powerful distinction. So another one says, I write better at night before I fall asleep. Great. So own that. If that is you, own that. And until it doesn't work anymore, own that. Go with that flow. For my books and screenplay, fantastic, right? So then what I would say is, how do you tweak your life so that the things you need to be the most productive are during the most productive times for you? Now, some of you may not have that ability right now. Maybe you are employed. But for all of those of you self-employed, for all those of you who have some control over your schedule right now, and I would say a lot of you do, not everybody has to go into work anymore. So find those productive times. Do what you can to tweak things to work in your favor rather than against you, right? Because I feel that so many times, the reality is we're doing so many things that others see. I'm not here to ever tell you what to do. I don't care what anybody does. I don't care what businesses they want to run, how they want to run it, et cetera, et cetera. I want to make sure that you get a life that lights you up, that you get to wake up and you get to work on things that light you up. See, doing this work lights me up. Getting to hear people and what's going on and how I can help and having a weight lifted off their shoulders. I had something this weekend. I found that I've been at peace a lot lately. And so I've been so aware of kind of my body, how it feels, my neck, tightness, different things. And I found that the more that I'm at peace, the less that I have this tightness or that my body just is aching. Well, it was interesting because I woke up on Sunday morning. There was something that I thought canceled. It was a $500 charge, and it went through. And I hadn't felt anger in a while. Like I really just I found a lot of peace. I've made the choices, made the shifts, and I felt some like, and I was able to get a hold of customer service, and they took care of it. And so it dissipated pretty quickly. And rather than living in that state of kind of fight or flight or all the time, I find that those moments come and go. They're not on the daily, right? And I don't know how many of you can relate to where you might feel some form of, not maybe anger, but where I had a guy that was doing some work with, and he's been feeling so much more relief because, again, this shift in his job, this shift in his situation, this shift in his life has taken some of this bent up clenching and anger and tightness and stress. And the more we can release these things, then the more in flow we can be, the more powerful we can be, the more momentum that we'll gain, and the better our lives and business and everything can be, our relationships. Super, super powerful. And so I've made it more or less my life's mission to continue to be this guinea pig to tweak and improve and figure things out. And now look at my life that not that things that happen are failures or I wish they wouldn't happen, but rather what can I learn from this? And how can I get through it? And then how can I share it? Because what I've found is that's been something I've gotten really good at. And so bringing these weekly mind tune-ups is that ability for me to bring something for free to people right now to help make those little shifts, those little tune-ups, those little tweaks to help feel a little lighter. So I hope that these do that for you. You can check me out. My main page, I do have this streaming from a few different places. And so if you want to check out Michael Gebbin somewhere here on the Facebook, you can click my name. You can follow, add as a friend. And, that's the main page that I'm typically keeping track of things. And then I've got a bunch of chats here opened up, and then I try to go find the comments and things afterwards. But if you want to check out my audiobook, it's free to listen to. It's takemia.com. And that audiobook will definitely light a fire, gives you my journey from being a little paper boy and still living in a town of about 26,000 people here in the Midwest, and being able, it goes through about 2016. I'm going to record a new one at the end of this year and have it from late 2016 to the present. There's so many new revelations that I've had and things that have happened. And so you can go to takemia.com and you can check that out. You can go to themindmechanic.net. And you can dig in, send me a message either there or on my Facebook if you'd like to figure out how I might be able to help you. I'm a no-pressure kind of guy. I know that I can't necessarily help everyone, but definitely when I hear I can help in some way and be able to find somebody I can send you to, some way that I can help, some little thought that I can provide, a little shift in perspective, that's all I want to do. So anyways, definitely reach out, and I hope that you found this one valuable today. Typically showing up most days, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, for a little weekly morning mind tune-ups. And then on Wednesdays, I do a I will answer that in just a second. On Wednesdays, I do a Zoom session where I do some one-on-one for about an hour. with people. And then movies produced, not necessarily myself. I've made, for those of you who don't know me, I'll give the short version of that. I started my video production company in high school because my dad made movies. We made one called My Dad's Gone Nuts, The Vault, Stinky Socks Stolen, For Real. The Vault made it into some film festivals and funeral homes because my dad works at a cemetery, knew that we made these. I started making slideshows. I got asked to film a wedding. I filmed over 300 weddings in my career, and I worked with people like Tony Robbins and Tim Ferriss and Lewis Howes and Richard Branson, been to his island 4 times. And I've done dance recitals, graduations, church services, transferred VHS and filmed the DVD, anything just about, you name it. So I've had quite a career there in video production, and I've been kind of saying lately I've retired from video production and am coaching full-time. I don't coach because it's an easier thing to do. It's something that I love more than anything, and after a decade of doing it on and on, it's definitely the thing I want to spend the majority of my days doing is bringing joy and really releasing tension, releasing frustration, releasing fear, and being able to fly, right? Just being able to thrive and really enjoy what it is that you get to do. And that thing that maybe got squashed out of you. I made a post about the dream squashers. A lot of dream squashers are just people who are hurting inside because their dreams got squashed. And we don't know where it started, but at some point in time, things didn't work out for somebody and they gave up. And that's that whole, right? I'll believe it when I see it. Meaning you'll believe after you see, after it happens, after it works out, after that person changes, after this happens, right? Yeah, when the economy gets better, I'll believe it, right? After I see that happen, versus I'll see it and then I'll believe it, right? That ability to, you'll see it after you believe. Like you believe first, then you'll see. So when you start to take those actions, you start to shift your life. It's amazing what happens. And so, anyways, rock and roll, my friends. Send me a message. Give it some likes and love. If you enjoyed this, let me know your insights. I love to hear how you found some little shift, anything, if it related for you today. And sending you much love. Look forward to hearing more about you and how these help. So one day we'll go to outer space together. Rock and roll, my friends. Have an incredible day. Appreciate you so much. And thanks for catching. Rock and roll.